Hi there, everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about sewing needles, and because they're a critical part of your sewing experience. And I've come to learn as I've been teaching more and more people about sewing that a lot of people aren't changing out their needles, or they're using needles that aren't quite the right needle for the project that they have in mind. So I thought today we would go over some of the differences between needles and the types of fabrics you might use them with. So typically when you have your machine, and excuse the paint on my fingers, I've been involved in a house painting project, the universal needle is probably the needle that has come in your machine. You can see on the needle, the case, that there are a variety of numbers: 70-10, 80-12, 90-14. That is the thickness, or the diameter of the needle. And the higher the number, the thicker the needle is, the rounder, I guess would be the word, and the heavier the fabric that you would use. So chances are when you open up your machine, you've got a universal needle in there, and that is good for your general projects. So a 70-10 or an 80-12 is a really great needle for a quilting cotton. It will pierce it nicely and it will sew smoothly. But what if you've got something that's a little bit lighter weight, not quite as sturdy as a quilting cotton, but still a cotton, like a cotton lawn, or maybe even a double gauze, which, even though it's technically 2 layers, it's still a bit of a lighter weight fabric. So for example, here's a piece of double gauze, and here's some Liberty lawn, some Tana lawn. I would use a thinner needle. This one is also a universal needle, but it's a 65-9. If I don't have enough of those on hand, I might switch it out back to the 70-10. You can also see there are some specialty needles. I like to sew a lot of jeans and heavyweight fabric. There are specific jeans needles. The jeans needles start at a 90-14. This one happens to be a 110/18. I like a thicker denim, so that tends to work for me. If you sew with leather or pleather, you're going to want a leather needle. And again, it's a 90-14, but it's slightly a thicker needle, so it pierces that leather nicely. Top stitching on denim is also like a 90-14. And again, the reason that it's different than your regular denim needle is the eye is larger to accommodate the thicker top stitching thread. And then we have some jersey needles. Just like with your universal needle, the jersey needle can come in a variety of diameters from 70-10 all the way up to 90-14. I tend to use a more stable knit if I'm sewing with knit, so I might use the 80-12 or the 90-14 on like a sweatshirt fabric. But the 70-10 works really well with the lighter weight fabrics and the knit fabrics, the 4-way stretch knit fabrics. So I've got some knit fabric right here, and you can see it's got a little bit of sideways stretch, but it doesn't have very much vertical stretch at all. Whereas this fabric has, again, it's a little bit more stable, but it does have some vertical and horizontal stretch. It's not quite as stretchy as a 4-way stretch. So for both of those fabrics, I would probably use the 80-12 jersey needle. But then if I had a slinky knit or something like that, I would definitely go down to like a 70-10. So I hope that's answered some of your questions about sewing needles and giving you some advice. Also, with your sewing needles, change them out like every 8 hours of sewing or so. A good habit to get into is whenever you start a new project, start it with a new needle. It will save you so much time in the long run. If your threads are breaking or you're skipping stitches, chances are it's a needle issue. So keep your needles in good shape, keep a large variety of them on hand, and you'll be a happy sewer.